Woke up
Back
to the Gentlemen's Club podcast, episode 46, I think. Like that, my man behind the boards is on cue.
Our levels is right.
I heard you. I'm sitting with one of my favorite people on the planet.
Amanda.
All right, relax. No, I don't like you that much. You over there in the back.
Hey guys, it's me. I'm Zach.
All right, okay. How are you guys? After a full another 72 hours since we've...
Are we really going to keep doing this?
It's funny, man.
Okay.
All right, I'll stop
It's
that.
an inside joke.
Right. But how are you guys?
I'm feeling great.
Feeling great?
Mm-hmm.
Feeling good. Feeling great.
I am
feeling good.
incredible.
How are you?
And I also want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for viewing, liking, subscribing to the Gentlemen's Club podcast. If you haven't already done so, please do so. Hit that subscribe button right down below.
Period.
Hit the notification bell too as well if you want to get updated as soon as we upload our videos, which is every Tuesday and Fridays at 8 a.m. So you guys know. Follow us at the Gentlemen's Club Pod on Instagram, where somebody posts shit.
I don't even know if it's you. If it's you, I don't know who posted.
I can tell you it's not me.
That's fair.
Once I finish doing everything, it's like,
Right.
all right, bro, I'm putting my phone down for the rest of the week.
Right, I hear you.
But again, we appreciate all the love and support you guys have given us. We are trying to grow this podcast to a new level, and we appreciate all the help that you guys
I'm
have
on
done.
a new level.
All the help that you guys have done to help us reach that. So, with that,
That's a weird noise. I don't want to do that again. There was something. I do not want to do that again.
certain sounds you probably shouldn't make with your mouth.
Not as a man. That is not something I should be doing. I apologize. I want to touch before we get into one thing. Zach, you sent in an article.
Aha.
Yeah, let's get into this. It was Childish Gambino talking about how
Shout out to him.
an extremely talented artist,
Huge fan.
big fan, who I feel has the capability to replace any top entertainer in music, in my personal
I
opinion.
think he's the ultimate creator, and that's really Dick
Yes.
Ryder-ish.
And
but
that's a very big
he's-
thing to say, but I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
It's facts.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
But he had he's had a few things to say whenever he's popped up lately, just about the space that he's in when it comes to creating shows and whatnot, and where television shows are going. Do you have that article? Just so we can give a little more of some details to that, because I know that it had to do with some tweets. He shared some things.
Keep talking.
Yeah. So if the gist was that the creative shows are being stunted by the upper echelon, the people who make sure that the shows come together. These people can determine whether the show is going to actually continue on or not.
The white people up there.
The whites.
The whites.
And a lot of times I realize a lot of creatives talk about this. They always talk about the difficulties when it comes to being creative and
the cancel culture.
the cancel culture of certain things, and it's a rough space to be in, man. And I'm sure that those dudes would love to be able to just create openly how they want to and just see what happens. I've always wondered that. I've always wondered how come there's not somebody at the very fucking top who has a creative enough eye to see the potential in somebody, and they're not just looking at numbers.
Can I say something controversial?
Break it down.
Please.
I think that a lot of people on top don't deserve the position that they're in,
That
and
is
so
a-
they're not creative.
Round of applause for that. That's a no, that works.
A lot of people might think of bro.
No, that works. These people they're looking at
My
numbers.
finger slipped.
Yeah, they're looking at numbers and they're breaking down what is valuable to their bottom line, their business, which I understand as a business person, especially when you're that high up. I realize that you have to do that. But where is the creativity with trusting the creative and just giving them a chance in hopes that, especially when you can see it so well?
Well, so I wanted to touch on something. So Dave Chappelle, another phenomenal creator, Dave Chappelle did recently, I mean, a few months ago, I believe. Remember, he had that whole show where they weren't letting him be creative.
Right.
And he wanted, it was like boycott Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, for sure.
He created this hashtag of
Right.
boycott Dave Chappelle. And so Dave Chappelle is a great example of someone who has defied these odds.
For sure. And that's my thing. When there's so many examples of people who have the potential to do so, if I was them, I'd be like, nope, put everything that he needs. Absolutely everything that he needs. Give it to
to be
him.
successful.
Yeah, give it to him, because if he
But he had to fight for that because he's at the point now where he's able to have that kind of.
he has that leverage.
He has that leverage, and that took him how many years?
Yeah.
I'm really glad you pointed that out, because there's a lot of people that are absolutely right in having that same argument, but don't carry the same level of power as Dave Chappelle. And
wow.
Dave Chappelle acknowledges that he understands the amount of power that he has, and it's because he understands it that he was able to pull that card that says, hey, do me a favor, don't support this
Right.
until we get it figured out.
Right.
And I'm sure that Dave Chappelle in his earlier years probably compromised a lot
Oh,
to get to where
that
he
seems
is.
to be the only.
I don't know if that's true, but
Yeah.
Part of his soul.
I'm
he
sure.
compromised.
Yeah, and and that's a part of the process, and that's frustrating.
It is.
I just, to be honest with you, I just have this childlike, unlimited imagination of what if the people who were in control of making sure that these things happened, if they actually trusted the creative, that you can see without a doubt, they can proof of concept, they can show that they're creative, all of these different things, especially if the people are supporting them. Why not give them all the resources that they need in order to keep doing what they're doing?
So I think
That would bring the most money.
let me tell you this though. They are thinking it like we can't trust cancel culture.
Okay.
So we trust the creator. Well, I don't agree with that completely either, but I'm saying
Okay.
what I mean is they want the creator to do whatever they want to do.
Right.
But they don't trust that, first of all, that they're going to get slack for that.
Right.
Because with cancel culture,
Okay.
You get what I mean?
associated,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
so
sure.
like
All right,
you can
okay.
have a creator, and again, I'm not defending them because I would never defend those people up there.
Right.
But I'm saying what I'm saying is that they're probably looking at it as like it doesn't matter because if we give them freedom, it's going to fall back on our viewership. You know,
They
we're
are
canceling
affected
this
on the back
person.
end. Right. Okay.
Because this person, like even Dave Chappelle, has been quote unquote canceled by
Right.
the internet
True.
because of things that he said, and it's like it is a risk to take of like, you know, what if it's a big cancel? And again, I don't agree with this, but I'm just saying this is what they're probably looking at.
Okay. I can.
And that's what Gambinos were saying.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Zach, did you have some more things that you want to add to this?
I would say that I think one of the contributing issues is, and it's kind of the point of Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, however you know him, is saying there's a lack of representation. You know, all these companies when they bring these shows to concept,
Yep.
there are think tanks.
Yeah.
There are think tanks where they bring in random individuals off the street and they say, hey, what do you guys think about this? And there's a lack of representation.
That's
if
a
you
fact.
have a show appealing to black people,
There need to be black people in the room approving
no,
the show.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this.
Right.
A majority of the think tank
Should be.
black people.
1,000%.
And the people in charge of the show.
That's what I'm saying. The people who are responsible for making sure that this show is going to get where it needs to go, there needs to be representation there. There need to be black people or whatever type of people that are associated with it. It needs to be organic. You need to have people who are close enough to whatever idea this is to give you the most authentic feel and representation possible.
One of the things that Donald Glover is trying to get to is that there are people that are not involved in the African American culture that are having an impact on what the African American culture gets to digest,
And that's
as far as content goes.
And that's in everything. That's
That's a
been-
great like point that I feel like not a lot of people have made. Or maybe it's not.
Check this out. I won't say that not a lot of people have made. We talk about it, but it's almost like in passing. We talk about it was like, well, you already know that they ain't finna allow that to slide. It's like, well, no. How do we change that? How do we? And I realize it's a transfer of power. There's a lot of people who they're not even going to entertain that idea to make more money.
So this is somewhat off topic, but it's really not.
Okay.
ABC has announced a whole bunch of shows that they're canceling.
Okay.
One of them is very well known and very much well received, especially when it comes to the black community. Blackish.
It's being canceled?
Blackish is going into its final season.
Wow.
Out of nowhere.
Interesting.
I have no idea how the cast, how the creators exactly feel about it, but ABC basically announced that this is going to be the final season of Blackish.
That's interesting.
Another show that got ripped that I think was great personally, me and my fiance, we watch it faithfully, was For Life.
Wait, hold on. That's getting canceled?
It's canceled.
Bro, I was just about to start getting in it because every time I see you, you won't shut up about it.
For Life, they're not even giving it a final season. For Life is just gone.
And that's 50 show, right?
Yes. They are shopping the show for other networks, so it may come back in some capacity. I don't know.
Okay.
But either way, For Life, especially the second season, did a incredible job of showing African American plight to the point where I think I expressed this to you. There were like towards the back half of that second season.
Yeah.
I got emotional for
sure.
honestly,
Right.
the whole second half of the season. There are episodes where I'm red-eyed, puffy-eyed.
Misty over there, huh?
I'm
Misty.
I can't do this shit right now.
I've never heard of this show because I don't watch like regular TV. I never heard of the show.
Yeah.
I only started
It's a new
watching
show
it.
that you're saying.
Yeah, it's they wrapped up their second season like 2-3 months ago. But I only started watching it because of quarantine.
Okay.
So that is a show that has huge, and it's based off of a real story. It's inspired by a true story of a man that was wrongfully accused and sentenced to life in prison and became a lawyer while in jail and fought his own case until he got free and became a lawyer, basically fighting the system.
Wow.
That's an important show as far as I'm concerned.
I'm kind of tired of that, though. That's another conversation. But I'm
As far as all of our shows are important, necessarily they can't necessarily. But Blackish,
yeah.
Blackish
That's
is very much
That's a
so-
regular family show.
That's a sitcom.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
a sitcom that at times touched on situations that were serious.
Right.
Are you saying, like, I just want to clarify, you're saying, like, you're tired of shows always having,
I'm
like,
tired
a
of
message
I'm tired of all of the shows that represent us always having to do with some trauma. Like that's like, and I realize that point has been made in other places and whatnot. But to be real with you, I felt that way when the Fred Hampton movie came out with Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya, and I just remember I'm watching it and I'm mad.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie and I love it and I love that for us. But I'm tired of that's all that seems to be.
And why are you responsible for educating other people on these issues?
Well, that's the other side of the coin, and I promise you I'm not going to get deep into it, but that is the other side of the coin. It's just like, okay, this message needs to be delivered properly because obviously it wasn't, but this message needs to be delivered properly. So I understand that point, but how many times are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
But Blackish is a great example of a show that has, like, it's a family, they touch on race issues,
Right.
but it's also, like, is very hilarious and
Yeah.
it's a comedy
It's still,
and
Right.
lighthearted.
At its core, it's just a black family.
Right.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
That's all it is. It touches on things from time to time,
Yeah.
but it's a black family.
Right.
It
But-
goes through things like there are things that are looked at as, oh my God, this is such a serious topic
Right.
to people that aren't a part of
Right.
African American
Yeah.
culture. It's like, fam,
That's their experience.
Yeah.
that shit just happens.
Right.
Like whatever.
It's like all of that stuff that was going on when the riots started during the pandemic, the Blackout Tuesday, all of those different things where all of these companies were trying to show some sort of solidarity with us, quote unquote. When is that gesture going to be seen in action? You know what I'm saying?
I don't
Like-
think it is.
Well, we knew it was performative,
Yeah, for
but it looked good on IG. But eventually, I would like to see that be reflected in everything else in the world.
In those higher up people, they need to change their mindset.
If that entire room still looks like opposite of what's being depicted on the screen, or the people who are behind creating some of the things on the screen, these ideas, these stories, if they're focusing on people that look different from the people who are in these rooms, that's an issue. That's always been an issue.
That is a part of the problem.
1,000%.
Yeah, because the people that can actually, like, I never want to diminish, like, people's, if you're out in the street, you're still making change at a lower level, and I never want to diminish people's experience like that, but I'm saying the people in those rooms are the ones who can really influence
generational change.
yeah,
It's a part of
systematic change.
Systematic
it's a
change,
part
yes.
of the regular programming that we subject ourselves to every single day. It's very big. It's very big. If I'm watching a whole bunch of shows where this is all that I see, man, fam, this is I guess this is what the world is like.
This is my experience.
Yeah, it's programming.
Yeah, of
television
course.
shows, movies, all of that shit is a part of programming.
You guys, when I left the United States and I lived in a different country, you don't realize how much Western movies and shows depict black people. When you go to other countries, and I went to a country where there's indigenous black skinned people, right? Like
Right.
indigenous people.
Right.
And they're black, but they don't consider themselves African American. And their idea of what an African American is looks totally different. And it's crazy how that has impacted them.
You mean that they don't view like people like me and Ashton as African American?
Yeah, they don't view they're black too. But they look at Americans, African Americans, they're like, "Oh, they're criminals."
Shit.
And they're black.
Shit.
And they're black
Shit.
themselves.
Wowzers.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, the
because
way
the
that-
TV and the movies have depicted them in this certain way,
Right.
and so their
That's-
image of black Americans
It's completely different.
is completely and
They've fallen for the brainwash.
yeah, but that's when I feel like, obviously, like as a white person, I don't have that same experience, but when I left this country, like I was literally blown away by the, just how much those things shape people's mindset.
It's big.
And that's a privilege that I had, that I didn't have to see that for what it was when I was living here.
Right.
That's a
And-
privilege that I had, and that's something I have to take ownership over.
For sure.
And I think we can have the argument as far as like if America is the biggest superpower in all the world or not.
It's the biggest circus show.
But
It has a lot of
Our-
influence.
Right.
our influence is the biggest.
Yeah.
There is no country
And there's a lot of
that
money.
has a bigger influence than the United
And
States,
there's a lot of money behind that too.
especially when it comes to things of the entertainment nature.
Right. And that's a deeper rabbit hole that we can get in at a later point. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think to me it was just it's a very eye-opening experience, and like I said, I never want to diminish. Like, obviously, I didn't have to experience that, so I just always want to be I always want to learn and be educated as well.
Of course.
And
I'm glad that you did.
Yeah.
I've always
Thank
known
you for
that, like,
sharing that with us though, too, by the way.
I've always known that like people from Africa don't look at African Americans as like, no, you're not one of us. But I didn't
Yeah.
know that there was that added layer of,
Yep.
oh no, you're a criminal.
Yeah.
I that part is completely new to me. That kind of blows my mind. But I
Even-
can understand how it happens.
Yeah.
course,
It,
yeah.
it happens a lot. Even
it
with,
happens in this country.
Yeah, and even with African Americans that are in the UK, there's issues there too. And a lot of this stuff is happening online with, people having conversations and whatnot, but I've watched it happen. I'm seeing it happen. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, there's people in this country that are that ignorant, that
For
think,
sure.
because of the movies and TV shows, and I never want to blame their pure ignorance, the way they feel, but
Right.
it's also they've been influenced.
The programming
by,
helps.
yeah,
The
and that's a
programming helps.
historical fact.
So this is where I guess I'll shoot bail is people in this country that have the opportunity to get to know
Yup.
realistically, you have no excuse.
That's true.
Now, if you're on the other side of the world, what opportunity do you have?
Exactly.
You're going off of what
You see.
what is fed to you day by day, and it's like, all right, eventually, like something's got to be
Right.
This has to be legit,
Right, because
And
this
it's
is
that-
all that I see.
And it's also that othering. It's like, that's what I said. I'm like, I used to talk to people too. I'm just like, it's so interesting because black people, like I said, if that person from that country went to the United States, you'd be perceived as a black person.
You would be included right there with us, and it's
But it's that othering. It's like, oh, you are different. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's that othering thing
Yeah.
that people do.
Interesting. But
terrible.
the creatives are still being stunted.
Oh yeah, so we got back to
No, we
free the
went
creatives.
deep. Yeah, we went deep.
no, but
Free
what do
the
you guys?
creators, man.
How do you guys actually feel about cancel culture? Because I have a unique perspective on that.
I hate it personally.
I hate it. Go ahead.
I personally don't feel like it does a good job of canceling hardly anything.
Doesn't do anything.
There's a few exceptions to it.
Few.
And
Sometimes
sometimes
it's been used. Sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's been used to definitely get some people who needed to get the fuck out of here, especially on a regular everyday working person level. Some of those people who've done some crazy things to their workers, their employees and whatnot, got them the fuck out of here. I fully support that.
But
sometimes
there is canceling of people that, granted, may be guilty of what they're being accused of in the past, but their actions since
they're reforming, they're trying to change,
have actively
shown that they're rehabilitating. They're trying to change their ways, and you can't keep holding me to the shit that I did 10 years ago, fam. You're a different
ago.
That's the thing. If you brought videos of all three of us 10 years ago, I would have said some really
I need a
ridiculous
mulligan.
things.
Give me a mulligan.
Listen.
Yes.
Bruh, I wouldn't. It just wouldn't work out too well, and it's just what happens when you're in the celebrity you're put on there for everybody to pick at and dissect and judge.
There are no old tweets of me to dig up. I don't tweet.
Right. No, then thank God. Like I said, I'm very grateful that I'm a millennial and I didn't have a phone until a certain age. I didn't have, because believe me, the things that I would have captured, I'm glad it's not in film.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But
yeah,
I will say that this is the only thing I say about cancel culture. Obviously, it's very toxic. But I will say that I think it is a form of activism.
I agree.
Do I think that it's the most productive form? No.
Maybe not.
But I do think that the younger generation who may have misplaced they have good intentions,
right,
but they're misguided and misplaced.
Right.
And I think so.
Misguided? I think how you said that was crazy.
Sorry.
That southern drawl just kicks in. Like, where are you from?
I am not from the South. Like
I know, and that's why I'm like, wait, what?
I get it.
Did I really say it like that?
It was kind of
misguided.
Enunciate.
I'm sorry.
Man, I'm picking.
But no, yeah, I think younger people have good intentions.
Right.
But it's just obviously maybe they're not old enough to even understand that, hey, people mess up and they grow from it.
Right.
But I do think I don't know, there are positives to it, and that's the
organization and the coming together to stand for this cause is one of the positives in that.
And so many people have been getting away with saying things for so long and doing things for so long.
It's like, nah, bro, we got to get you the fuck out of here for real.
Yeah, because I think a lot, even the Me Too movement is a great example of using your platform. Obviously, canceling anybody and everybody is not right, but there has been a lot of action being taken because people were canceling people that were inappropriate.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
I think that in its purest form, the cancel culture, as we call it, it had good intentions.
Yeah,
good intentions.
It's had good intentions.
Yep.
The problem is that when people that don't have good intentions realize that this formula could work to benefit them,
right?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to differentiate because not necessarily if there's receipts, there's receipts. And then you can, judge the character as far as are they reformed, is there changed behavior, et cetera, et cetera. But now people get canceled off of unproven allegations.
That's
without any level of proof.
Well,
it's
facts,
like, okay, how are we supposed to handle this?
right.
Because it's like, okay, I want to believe your plight, but I do need a little bit of proof because this person that we're canceling, you're costing them, regardless of whatever status they have,
their reputation.
They don't have to be famous.
Right.
You are fucking up their livelihood.
That's a fact. And
Yeah.
that speaks to that point that I always bring up when it comes to the Me Too movement, the way that men have treated women and so on and so on. The overcorrection is a lot of times it can be extreme. Like I'm all for correcting past things that we shouldn't do, but sometimes there's an overcorrection, and as soon as we overcorrect, we just stay. This is just what it is. We here.
It's
not, wrong is wrong.
It's not entirely the reason, but it is partially the reason why I am so quiet on social media.
Yeah, you can't
because I know that there are certain things I'm just going to be blunt about, and I'm honest with you guys when everything is off.
Right.
and I'm honest on this podcast.
You're
but
right. You be faking?
You have to be careful.
there's a certain level of record. That's like, all right, fam. It was okay when I said it 5 years ago. Why
Right.
is it a problem now?
Yeah.
Oh, I struggle with this. Like, I'm a white person who speaks on a lot of social justice issues, and I've gotten called out so many times for being like, Amanda, sit down somewhere. You don't need to be speaking on this.
Bro,
And-
people can change.
No, but I mean, I think I do need to be mindful of that as well. And like I said, I'm sure there's things like on the podcast that I've said or any in my life that people are like, sit down somewhere. You don't need to be speaking on black people's issues. That's not your job. And
We have all said things that at
Yeah.
one point in time
We
a
didn't
different
have-
version of ourselves
Yeah.
is contradicting of.
of course.
But if it, I don't
But
even
growth.
think, and that's what I was about to say. I don't even think that would be a positive thing. It's awesome if you were always great and you always said the right thing at the right time. But people grow. We're not leaving room for us to
On this
grow.
podcast,
and that's how you grow. Like,
Exactly.
you got to make a mistake to grow.
on this podcast, I preach communication at all times.
Right.
I used to be a shitty emphasis on the shitty communicator.
I'm still working on it.
Every relationship that I was in, you're a poor communicator. Why don't you talk? Why don't you tell me what's wrong? Why don't we have this conversation? That is who I used to be. And because of that,
You overcorrected.
I've actually overcorrected.
Yeah. It's real. It's very real. It's very real. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so we're going to get caught up one of these days.
For sure. Fuck 'em. Yeah, fuck 'em. Let's move on to we had a I won't say a fan question, but we had a submitted topic and or question.
Okay, so I will read it verbatim.
Okay. Oh. All right. Let's do it. Now, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, let me just sip of this real quick.
I have a topic for you and the podcast. When men cheat, 90% of the time, it's only just to have sex. And it's no personal feelings behind it. But when women cheat, 90% of the time, it's personal. And it's most likely she will cheat with someone that she already knows for a while, which, and in parentheses, which makes her infidelity worse. And
Shit, I didn't know there were certain types of infidelity that could be worse than the other. That's interesting.
And as a sidebar to that topic, it's not the act of cheating that bothers women, or even if an encounter with another woman is innocent. Most women just don't like the fact that their man is spending time with another woman, especially if he's enjoying her company. Versus men are hurt more by the actual physical act of cheating by their partners.
Who's going first?
I think that Amanda should go.
Amanda, I'm not going to be rude and cut you off, but as you go into this, I am going to.
He's going to be rude and cut you off.
I'm gonna.
I honestly am not like that bothered by what it said because it's nothing new.
Right.
The thing of it is that for men, I disagree 100%. I'm not a man, but I disagree 100%.
You read that Steve Harvey book? Think
Right.
Like a Man? Please don't.
And I won't. No, I disagree 100% with the idea that men only cheat for physical needs and women cheat for intimacy, if that's the word.
That's false.
Yeah, that's not. Oh, my Lord. I'm so sorry. That was country too.
You wake up at
That
7.
was Southern,
You wake
too.
up at 7 p.m. What's your?
It's a medication.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
No.
That was
Yeah,
my fault.
alarms are for multiple things.
Right.
I apologize.
Women have a different kind of alarm.
That's
at
true.
night.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. My bad.
But yeah, so I think that's just completely false. And I don't think what I had the problem with was which cheating is worse. Cheating is bad. And again, if
Well,
you're
obviously the physical is a little more. It affects people differently.
but he's saying if you cheat with someone you know for more an intimate, or if you're just cheating for physical,
Right.
Both of those cheatings, if you and your partner agreed on being monogamous,
Right.
that is both wrong.
Exactly.
And
It's
it
a
hurt people
contest of-
differently. It hurts people differently.
It's a contest of who's the shittier person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my thing is too is that in my opinion, if your so-called man has to get something physical like that, to me, learn self-control.
That's a fact.
If you're missing intimacy, break up with them and be with someone else.
Okay. I like it.
You get what I mean?
I get it.
If you physically can't control yourself, then that's something you need to work out.
That's true. As a reformed fuckboy,
Rage.
Okay, yeah, we got to touch on that. We have to touch on that. What does that mean? Because you said that in the last podcast as well.
That's true. Yeah, episode 45.
Go watch it if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, I was about to say that should be available for you to check out. I've cheated before. I've been in.
Where's the gas?
No, for sure. I definitely have. I've done some very shitty things in relationships. I've been at a space where hurt people, and that's a typical saying, but it's not something to be taken lightly. When you're hurt or you feel a certain way, you run the risk of violating your relationship because you might not know what to do with your pain.
And you might not have been ready for that relationship.
Might not have been ready for the relationship. A lot of people don't want to admit that. So when you abuse that person, it's just like, well, you're going through some deeper things than usual. So when you talk about men, it's just a physical thing. I have to challenge that, because a lot of times when I was hurt or in pain, I was trying to find whatever validation or something to fill my ego or something to make me feel better.
Love that.
And sometimes that involved being involved with women in whatever capacity that was.
I think, and I'm definitely generalizing because I'm not a man, I don't know their experience, but I definitely think it's an attention thing as well.
It can be the same way.
It's an ego thing.
The same way that in the question he was trying to say that it's like an intimacy thing. Some men will say that, well, when women cheat or when they go get attention from another guy, even though they're in a relationship with a man, is because they need that attention. And it's like, but that's still that's an emotional thing. That's a void that they're trying to fill. That's a lot of that.
Yeah.
So it's not just a physical thing. It's emotional.
Can I interject?
Please do, sir.
So all cheating is an ego thing.
Facts.
All of it.
Selfishness.
If it be physical, emotional, etc.,
Yep.
etc.
Love that.
It's I'm not getting what I deserve more.
Or I want more.
I want more, I deserve more, whatever the case may be.
And I'm not getting it, so I'm going to go get it over here.
And either I went out and seeked it and somebody reciprocated,
right,
or somebody showed me that I could receive more from them.
Exactly.
And my ego told me, you deserve that.
Yep. That's a fact.
That is what cheating is ultimately.
Right.
Check your ego at the door.
I've heard heard this too. It's like, I didn't seek that out. I've heard that, right? Like when you caught somebody cheating, you're like, I didn't seek it out though.
But you answered the call.
But you answered the call. And they call. You ain't got to pick up.
So for someone,
I don't know that number.
I've never cheated on somebody. Have I done things wrong in a relationship?
Time out. We're not skipping over that. Round of applause for this woman.
I've done other messed up stuff, but I've not cheated. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, we ain't want to ruin it. My bad. I was hyping you up. My bad.
I've been accused mad times of cheating. I was just like, what?
Yo,
I've never cheated, but my thing is that I think we should go deeper into this because, well, we don't really have time. But I think that what we should talk about is that cheating, when people say that cheating, it's never the other person. And maybe you shouldn't be in a monogamous situation, or maybe you just shouldn't be in a relationship, period.
Right.
To me, I don't understand. I just will never understand how you can live with yourself. And maybe as a reformed fuckboy, you can tell me, how did that guilt feel? Did you feel guilty about it? Did you not?
For sure. Majority of the time, I told on myself. Majority of the time.
Because your guilt was eating you up? Or?
Yeah, because I mean, to my core, I still do have a heart. A lot of people might feel otherwise. But at the lowest points of my life, I definitely wasn't moving like the person that they knew me to be or who I am. And eventually I would definitely tell on myself. There were times where I could say that I had every intention on telling you, and that was the truth. There were, you know what I mean? That's a real thing, but it doesn't look good if they bring it to your attention. But no, I didn't do well with cheating. Because I would eventually say something.
I think that when cheating gets involved, there's other issues with the relationship that causes it to get to that point. Yeah. Clearly, if you're willing to cheat on your partner, you're not a good enough. Neither one of you are good enough communicators to be able to figure out, hey, you've been off lately. What's going on? Let's have a conversation. You end up cheating because, oh my God, you're not communicating your relationship properly.
Yeah.
So you ended up in this situation because there were other issues involved,
Right.
And they weren't being dealt with properly,
Right.
So your answer was, well, I don't know how to end this relationship. I'm just going to step out.
Right.
And
It's going to circumvent my feelings so I can come back, and I should be able to be a better partner.
Right.
But clearly, that's not accurate.
Right. Can I ask a question of everybody in the room? Have you ever been in a situation where you were either emotionally charged, under the influence, and you may have done some things that the next day you're just like, that whatever space that I was in at that time, that wasn't me?
yeah, absolutely.
I feel like
From a relationship standpoint, or period?
both actually.
I will say individually, yes.
Okay.
I never put myself in a compromising situation.
And that one thing I want to say, it's great to definitely have that self-control and just say you have a fine line of, no, I'm not going to do that to this person. I just want to say that there are those moments where people do make those choices and look back on it and say that was a mistake.
For sure.
So
sure.
and
Yeah,
it
no,
doesn't mean anything about it was cool to do. That was some fucked up shit you did. But to recognize it as, I would not have done that in a clear thinking mindset.
But and I think to go off of kind of what, was being said, it's never just an act. It's never just a
It's a choice.
physical act.
It's a
Because even if you physically wanted to do something and maybe you're not getting that from your partner, there was so much intimacy that led up to the act.
okay.
Does that make sense?
And it's never just the act. You're giving them a place where they feel a level of entitlement over your partner because you're this quote unquote dirty little secret.
Yeah, that's true.
And you didn't flirt with them, you didn't text them. I mean, unless you
didn't entertain.
Yeah, unless you're hiring literal prostitute to come to your house and not speak, like you did a lot of work.
That's a fact. No, that's an absolute fact.
And there has been people that cheated that way too. But I'm saying there's always intimacy that leads up to that. No.
I'll say this. Even if you can, like you said, you can say that it's a physical cheating thing, but you have to circumvent your partner's feelings in some way, shape, or form for the benefit of either your own or another person. And that's not physical.
Right. And he said something at the end too that was like,
and we're not trying to shit on this.
No, I
do
shout out to him.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for submitting a question. I wish more people would do it. I do have a question for you as soon as you get done making your next point.
No, go ahead. I'm reading.
From a woman's perspective, when you are cheated on, what about it?
Why are you assuming that she's been cheated on?
Oh, I have.
Amanda, damn it.
She was the only woman here, so I had to ask. That's all I'm saying.
I don't care. It is what it is.
The game is the game. I understand. What about being cheated on from a woman's perspective affects you the most?
It is definitely an ego thing for me as well. But I
love the accountability in this.
My thing is, it's an ego thing, but I think for me as well, I think it's when I've been cheated on, I feel disgusted. Like I feel so disgusted because things that I intimately shared with you, I feel like you're taking this sacred thing that I had and you're giving it to someone else.
Does that fall in line with the same thing where when women might feel that way about their partners spending time with other women?
Yeah, because it's this, to me, it's a disrespect on a different level.
Okay.
Of like, I've taken a part of myself and trusted you with that. Okay. And you broke that trust and disrespected me in the streets. Like I'm some other, person. Like I don't matter to you, even though you've said things to me that you supposedly didn't ever said to anyone else.
Right.
So I think it's that kind of thing. To me, it's the disrespect, but it's also an ego thing of being like, I thought I was the one and
the only one.
I thought I was special. And I think, like I said, and I've trusted you.
Okay.
I trusted you because I've been 100% trustworthy in that way.
Got you.
And you broke that trust. Like,
Got you.
how dare you?
Got you.
You know what I mean?
It's trust and it's respect.
Right.
Yeah, but it's also ego, 1,000%. It's also that too.
I mean, ego's always going to be involved, but it's literally it's the audacity.
It's
Right.
the audacity.
Yeah.
It's
But that I don't. Does anybody have any other thoughts when it comes down to the men and women cheating, and for men it being strictly physical, there's no emotional need there, and for women it's always an intimate thing?
I think the way that the question was posed is it's not always like this. It's a majority this way.
True.
And I think there probably is some level of truth to it.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that one is worse than the other.
And don't justify your actions by saying, you know, like, not you.
It was physical, and it did. It was,
Zach's
I'm being accused of cheating. What
but
I'm so sorry, Zach. What I meant was in this message. I'm so sorry.
Right.
He looked at me so shocked. I just meant that, like, don't ever justify your actions by saying it's just physical. That's not a way to justify. And again, mind you, I am open.
There's a lack of accountability.
Yeah, I am open-minded to whatever you and your partner agree on. That's what you agree on. So if you are someone who needs to have quote unquote physical contact with other people, then you need to have an open relationship, and that needs to be discussed in the beginning.
Right.
If we promised each other that we'd be in a monogamous situation, even if you got coerced into that, you agreed to it.
right.
It's a great word. And I want to point this out. I want to point this out.
Because a lot of people, I feel like, agree to things that they don't want to do.
Yo, that's
Also,
real. That's real.
open relationships aren't as cracked up as you think they are.
No, there is too much communication. You want to talk about communication?
Yeah, it's over communicated. You have to, or else it gets real messy.
Yeah.
No, don't tell me shit.
Right. But
It's
yeah,
a lot of work.
But yeah, let's not. I just want we can't run with the fact that the standard of how things used to be. That's not always the case. Sometimes people are sociopaths. Sometimes people can compartmentalize and pretend like there's not an emotional thing attached to it. But when you start really digging and getting to the root of it, I was the king of that. I used to try to pride myself on the fact that I can compartmentalize and there not actually be feelings there. It's deeper than that.
And honestly, you had something, and I'm generalizing, so correct me if I'm wrong, but
Right.
you had something inside of you that you needed to correct.
For sure. No, yeah, I realized there was a deeper issue on
Right.
why I was moving the way that I was.
So it might have been physical on the surface, but it's emotional inside of you.
The physical desire was a result, but it was not the root.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we can get rid of that.
I think we
narrative.
solved cheating. I think we
we
solved
did.
it.
Yeah.
Just
So just solve your root issues, and we probably won't have that.
I'm totally kidding. What I mean is go to therapy.
Yeah, get some help, man.
or if you want to be in an open relationship, be honest from the
Facts.
jump.
Communicate and stuff.
Don't be in a relationship don't be coerced.
Right.
Guys, please consider going to couples therapy before there's an issue.
Hey, that sounds fire.
And if there is an issue,
I want to do that
Again,
I want to do
go
that
to couples therapy.
even though I'm single.
Just go with a random person.
Tap off if I bring somebody.
Wait a second, that's genius.
Yo, this is the Gentleman's Club podcast. We out, man. That was good.